The Crimson Dawn Captain Marcus Vale stood on the observation deck of Nexus Prime's central command tower, watching the twin suns of the Arcturus system paint the morning sky in brilliant gold and amber. 20 years ago, this world had been nothing but untamed wilderness and crystalline mountains. Today, it housed 1.2 million human colonists living in harmony with their alien neighbors, the Catherians, tall, ethereal beings with translucent blue skin and 4 arms who had welcomed humanity with surprising warmth. Today marked the 20th anniversary of the Catherian Human Cooperation Accords, a milestone that would be celebrated across both species, worlds. Ambassador Veltar of the Catherian Collective had arrived 3 days ago with a delegation of their finest diplomats, scientists, and cultural ambassadors. The planned celebration would include the traditional Catherian luminance ceremony, where their bioluminescent abilities would create a spectacular light show visible from orbit. Marcus adjusted his dress uniform, the weight of his service medals, reminding him of the battles he'd fought in humanity's earlier expansion phase. At 42, he had spent most of his military career in peaceful postings, watching human civilization spread across the stars through diplomacy rather than conquest. It was a source of pride for their species. They had learned to build bridges instead of burning them. "Captain, we need to discuss something urgent," came a voice from behind him. Dr. Nora Blackstone, Nexus Prime's chief xenobiologist and diplomatic liaison, approached with her usual purposeful stride. Her dark hair was pulled back severely, and her expression carried the weight of concerning news. "What's troubling you, Doctor?" Marcus asked, noting the tension in her usually composed demeanor. Nora activated her portable display, showing complex biosignature readings. "I've been monitoring the Catherian delegation's physiological patterns as part of our standard diplomatic protocols. These readings don't match their baseline signatures from previous visits." Marcus frowned, studying the data. "What kind of discrepancies are we talking about?" "Their stress hormones are elevated. Their neural activity patterns suggest deception. And most concerning, they're producing trace amounts of combat pheromones. It's subtle, but Catherians only secrete these compounds when preparing for violent conflict." Before Marcus could respond, Lieutenant Zara Quinn's voice crackled through the communication system from the orbital monitoring station. "Captain Vale, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the Catherian ships in orbit. Their vessels are reconfiguring into what appears to be a bombardment formation." Marcus felt ice form in his veins. "Are you certain, Lieutenant?" "Positive, sir. I'm also picking up encrypted transmissions on frequencies we've never recorded from Catherian technology. These signals are being broadcast to coordinates throughout the outer system." Nora's face went pale as the implications became clear. "Marcus, what if the luminance ceremony isn't a celebration? Catherian bioluminescence operates on specific electromagnetic frequencies. If they coordinate a planetary display, they could overwhelm our sensor grids and communication arrays." "How long would we be blind?" Marcus demanded. "Based on these readings, approximately 12 minutes. Long enough for orbital bombardment to eliminate all major population centers." The realization hit Marcus like a physical blow. The species they had trusted for 2 decades, their closest alien allies, were preparing to annihilate them. But why? What could possibly motivate such betrayal after years of peaceful cooperation? Alarm suddenly blared throughout the colony as Lieutenant Quinn's panicked voice filled the command center. "Multiple contacts dropping out of hyperspace. I count. Dear God, there are over 300 vessels. These aren't Catherian designs. I'm seeing ship configurations from at least 8 different species." Marcus and Nora raced to the command center, where the main display showed a nightmare beyond their worst projections. Sleek warships from across the galaxy surrounded Nexus Prime, their various designs united in obvious hostile intent. The Catherian vessels had moved to join the blockade formation. "Incoming transmission," Quinn reported, her voice barely steady. "Put it through," Marcus ordered. The screen flickered to reveal not Ambassador Veltar, but a creature Marcus had never seen before. A being with chitinous armor, multiple eye stalks, and appendages that ended in razor-sharp talons. When it spoke, its voice carried through universal translators with chilling authority. Human Colony Nexus Prime. I am High Archon Zexhai of the Void Consortium. Your species has been judged a threat to galactic stability. You have 1 standard hour to evacuate all human personnel from this system. Any remaining after that time will be eliminated. This is Captain Vale, Commander of Nexus Prime Defense Forces. This colony is legally established under Galactic Federation law. We demand immediate withdrawal of hostile forces. The Archon's mandibles clicked in what might have been amusement. The Galactic Federation's protection does not extend to species marked for containment. Humanity's expansion ends today. Ambassador Veltar stepped into view, but his usually graceful demeanor had transformed into something cold and calculating. Captain Vale, I regret this necessity. The consortium has made their position clear. Human technological advancement and expansion rate pose an existential threat to established galactic order. Your species must be limited to your current territories, or face systematic elimination. The transmission ended, leaving Marcus staring at the screen in stunned disbelief. 20 years of friendship, cooperation, and shared scientific advancement had been a lie. A careful deception while multiple alien species planned humanity's destruction. Raise shields and activate all defensive systems, Marcus commanded, his military training overriding shock. But as Nora had predicted, the Catherian luminance ceremony had already begun on the planet's surface. The bioluminescent display that should have been beautiful created electromagnetic interference that crippled their sensors and communications. The attack began without warning. Energy beams from orbit struck Nexus Prime's major cities. Power, grids, spaceports, and industrial centers. The colonial defense platforms returned fire, but they were outnumbered 50-1. Marcus watched helplessly as the civilization he had helped build was systematically destroyed. Evacuation protocols, he shouted over the chaos. Get everyone to the underground shelters. Dr. Blackstone, coordinate medical response. For 6 horrific hours, the bombardment continued. When it finally ended, Nexus Prime's once beautiful cities lay in smoking ruins. Of the 1.2 million colonists, barely 80,000 had survived in the deepest emergency bunkers. Marcus emerged from the command bunker to survey absolute devastation. Bodies littered the streets, families who had been preparing for a celebration of peace when death fell from the sky. The crystalline spires that had marked humanity's architectural achievement were reduced to glittering rubble. But in the ruins, Marcus found something the attackers had not expected. The colony's quantum communication array, hidden within a geological research station, had survived the attack. Working frantically with the remaining technical staff, they managed to establish contact with Earth Defense Command. Earth Defense Command, this is Nexus Prime calling for immediate assistance, Marcus transmitted. Colony under attack by multi-species alliance. Massive casualties. Request emergency evacuation and military response. The response came 18 hours later. General Thane Reeves, commander of Earth's defense forces, appeared on the damaged screen. His weathered features showed controlled fury as Marcus briefed him on the attack. Captain Vale, officially, Earth is cooperating with the Galactic Federation's investigation into this incident, Reeves said carefully. The alien governments claim this was the action of rogue elements beyond their control. General, they murdered over 1 million civilians, Marcus replied. This wasn't rogue elements. This was coordinated genocide designed to intimidate humanity into abandoning expansion. Reeves nodded grimly. I understand completely, Captain. Officially, we're pursuing diplomatic solutions. He paused, looking off screen. Unofficially, help is coming. Over the following days, rescue ships arrived to evacuate survivors. Marcus insisted on staying with a small investigation team. What they discovered in the wreckage changed everything. Dr. Blackstone found evidence that the weapons used had been specifically calibrated to be lethal to human physiology, while leaving infrastructure intact. This wasn't territorial dispute, it was systematic extermination. In the ruins of the Catherian embassy, they discovered encrypted communications revealing the full scope of the conspiracy. 12 different alien civilizations had formed the Void Consortium with one goal: preventing human expansion by demonstrating that Earth's protection could not reach every colony. The evidence showed that humanity's rapid technological advancement, adaptability, and tendency to form alliances with other species had terrified established galactic powers. Rather than compete, they had chosen elimination. As Marcus transmitted this evidence to Earth, he had no idea that across human space, a mobilization unlike anything in their species' history was already underway. Every human world, every colony, every space station was contributing to a response that would forever change the galaxy's power structure. The Void Consortium had intended to demonstrate human weakness. Instead, they had awakened something they never expected: the absolute unity of humanity when faced with extinction. They were about to discover that threatening a human colony was not attacking an isolated settlement, but declaring war on an entire species that would never accept the unacceptable. The sky was about to become humanity's domain. When heaven became our domain. 6 months after the Nexus Prime massacre, Fleet Admiral Dante Cross stood on the bridge of the TSS Sovereign's Wrath, watching as humanity's answer to genocide took shape across the cosmos. At 55, Cross had dedicated his life to preparing for a war he hoped would never come. The crystalline viewport showed him a sight that would have been impossible to imagine just a year ago. 2.3 million human vessels assembled across 50 star systems, all connected by quantum communication arrays in perfect synchronization. The massive dreadnought served as the command ship for Operation Skyfall, humanity's response to the Void Consortium's attempt at species-wide extermination. What the aliens had intended as a demonstration of human vulnerability had instead revealed the industrial and military capacity that humanity had built quietly over decades of peaceful expansion. "Admiral, final fleet reports are coming in," announced Captain Luna Sterling, his tactical coordinator. At 34, Sterling had risen through the ranks as one of humanity's finest fighter pilots before transitioning to fleet coordination. Today, she would help orchestrate the largest military operation in galactic history. "Display the numbers," Cross ordered. The main screen illuminated with statistics that defied comprehension. Every human world had contributed something to the war effort. Mining ships from the asteroid belts had been fitted with military-grade weaponry. Luxury passenger liners now carried fighter squadrons. Even civilian cargo vessels had volunteered, their holds converted to supply depots and troop transports. But the true revelation was humanity's hidden technological advancement. Chief Engineer Kai Nakamura's breakthrough in quantum fleet coordination meant that vessels separated by hundreds of light years could operate as a single, perfectly synchronized military instrument. What appeared to be scattered fleets across the galaxy were actually components of one vast war machine. "The consortium is requesting immediate negotiations," reported Commander Torres from Communications. "They claim they want to prevent further escalation." Cross's expression hardened. "Tell them we're busy. They had their chance for diplomacy when they murdered 1.2 million civilians." The plan for Operation Skyfall was elegant in its scope and devastating in its implications. Rather than striking a single target, humanity would simultaneously attack every major consortium world, demonstrating reach and coordination that would shatter their enemies' understanding of human capabilities. "All battle groups report ready." "Admiral," Sterling announced, "Project Constellation is online." Project Constellation was humanity's secret weapon, a quantum communication network that had been built into every human ship during decades of peaceful expansion. What the galaxy had seen as commercial and scientific vessels were actually components of a military infrastructure hidden in plain sight. The first strikes targeted the consortium's forward operating bases in the Vega system. As human ships materialized from hyperspace, the alien defenders found themselves facing coordination beyond their comprehension. Fighters moved in perfect formation, while capital ships provided support with split-second timing. The bases surrendered within 3 hours. Simultaneously, human forces struck consortium shipyards around Altair. The converted mining vessels proved their worth here, using their industrial equipment to disable the shipyard defenses before military vessels moved in to secure the facilities. Again, surrender came swiftly when faced with overwhelming force, applied with surgical precision. Colonel Phoenix Grant led the Special Forces assault on the Consortium Intelligence Hub at Rigel. Her teams, enhanced with advanced human biotechnology, infiltrated alien facilities with an efficiency that shocked their enemies. Within hours, they had captured databases containing the full scope of the anti-human conspiracy. "Admiral," Sterling reported, "we're receiving surrender signals from all 17 targeted systems. Resistance has collapsed across the board." But Cross knew the real test was yet to come. The consortium's capital world of Nexus Omega housed the leadership of the 12-species alliance. It was here that humanity would deliver its final message to the galaxy. As the human fleet approached Nexus Omega, they found the system heavily fortified with ships from all consortium member species. The combined alien fleet numbered nearly 800,000 vessels, a force that would have seemed overwhelming to any single species in galactic history. They were about to learn why that calculation no longer applied. "All ships execute Constellation Protocol 7, Cross commanded. What happened next redefined naval warfare. The human fleet moved as a single organism, with each vessel perfectly coordinated with every other ship across vast distances. Fighters weaved through capital ship formations with impossible precision. Weapons fire created interlocking fields of destruction that no enemy could penetrate. The alien fleet, despite its numerical superiority, found itself outmaneuvered at every turn. Their individual species had never developed the level of coordination that humanity achieved through quantum communication. Within hours, the consortium's mighty armada was reduced to scattered survivors broadcasting surrender signals. High Archon Zexhai appeared on the main screen, his chitinous armor scorched and his eye stalks drooping in defeat. "Admiral Cross, the consortium formally requests terms for ending this conflict." "There are no terms," Cross replied coldly. "You initiated this war by attempting genocide against human civilians. We are finishing it." "Your response is disproportionate," Zexhai protested. "One colony for 17 worlds. The galaxy will see this as unprecedented aggression." Cross leaned forward in his command chair. "Let me explain something about humans that your intelligence networks clearly missed. We don't fight wars for territory or resources. We fight them to protect our families. Every human who died at Nexus Prime was someone's child, parent, sibling, or friend. You didn't attack a colony. You attacked our entire species." The Archon's mandibles clicked nervously as the implications became clear. "Furthermore," Cross continued, "you made a fundamental error in your strategic assessment. You assumed humanity would respond like other galactic species, file protests, request investigations, eventually accept the loss as the price of expansion. What you failed to understand is that humans don't accept the unacceptable. Around Nexus Omega, human ships took positions that demonstrated complete tactical superiority. The message was clear. The consortium existed now only because humanity chose to allow it. When faced with extinction, Cross said, "Humans don't negotiate or compromise. We adapt, we unify, and we overcome. Your attack wasn't just an assault on Nexus Prime. It was a declaration that humans have no right to exist in this galaxy. We're here to correct that misconception." The communication ended, but its impact spread across known space faster than the speed of light. Within days, the Galactic Federation was in emergency session. Species that had never shown interest in human affairs suddenly wanted to establish diplomatic relations. Trade agreements were offered with unprecedented favorable terms. But the most significant change was in how the galaxy perceived humanity. The quiet colonists who had seemed focused on farming and research were revealed to possess industrial and military capabilities that had been systematically underestimated. Every human civilian ship was now recognized as a potential military asset. Every human settlement was understood to be a component of a vast interconnected defense network. Captain Luna Sterling, now promoted to admiral and assigned to oversee the occupation of former consortium territories, summarized the situation. In her report to Earth Command, We have fundamentally altered the balance of galactic power. What was previously a multipolar system with humans as junior partners has become a human-dominated order. The galaxy now understands that threatening human civilians triggers a species-wide response of overwhelming and coordinated retaliation. Chifa. Engineer Nakamura's quantum coordination technology was now being installed on every human vessel, civilian and military alike. The network that had enabled Operation Skyfall's success would ensure that humanity could project power instantly across any distance. 1 year after the Nexus Prime massacre, Admiral Cross stood once again on the bridge of the Sovereign's wrath. But now the ship orbited Earth as humanity's new flagship. The planet below bustled with activity, as humans from across the galaxy returned home to celebrate not just survival, but ascendancy. The Void Consortium had expected their attack to demonstrate human weakness and force humanity to accept territorial limits. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant whose response shattered the existing galactic order. 12 alien civilizations that had plotted humanity's extinction now existed as client states under human protection. The galaxy had learned a lesson that would echo through the ages. Threatening human extinction didn't lead to human submission. It led to human dominance. The stars that had once dreaded humanity's rise now belonged to them completely. As Cross watched supply ships and passenger liners move between Earth and the outer colonies, he reflected on how the galaxy had changed. Where once humanity had been careful not to upset established powers, now those same powers competed for human favor. Where once human expansion had been grudgingly tolerated, now it was actively supported by species hoping to benefit from human protection. The sky had indeed become humanity's domain, not through conquest, but through the simple demonstration that threatening human survival would result in consequences beyond any alien species' ability to comprehend or resist. The Void Consortium had sought to contain humanity's rise. Instead, they had guaranteed it would be absolute and eternal.